7 key elements of a powerful marketing campaign. So marketing is one of the most important functions in any business because it drives sales and it drives revenue, which of course we need to keep operating. But beyond that, it's really a way to sort of carve out space in our prospects and customers' minds so we have an ability to create relationships with them that go beyond transactions, that go beyond just trading dollars for products or services that need to be rinsed and repeated every single time we have something new to offer. When we establish a brand through effective marketing, then we have relationships that we can go back to again and again, and it's actually an asset that we're able to build up. But the question is, how do we stand out in an overcrowded market with our marketing? You know, there are competitors everywhere. Attention spans are shorter than ever. So what can we do as business owners to be able to actually create marketing campaigns that work? You know, it always amazes me because in watching television, and you see some of these ads that are produced that are obviously spent a lot of money on, and they spend a lot of money to air them as well. And some of them are, you know, no doubt really good, really effective. Others, you end the ad and you wonder, what was that even about? I don't even know what the product was for. You know, I don't even know what the ad was supposed to be promoting. I don't have any idea what that was. Or they try to be overly clever. And I think to myself, what a waste of a budget, what a waste of money. So the funny thing about marketing is that it doesn't matter about our budget. It doesn't matter about our skill level or expertise. There are people that are expert marketers that have been doing this for their whole career that still have duds. There are people that have a bootstrap budget that have never done marketing before, but they have something where they strike the right chord and they become really effective at it, and their message just flat out works. So how do we sort of cut through all that and figure out what we can do in our own marketing messages to be effective? Well, the good news is that good marketing can help us cut through all of that noise. It can help us strike that chord with our audience, and it can generate leads and sales like nothing else. And so the answer is still that we need to lean into marketing, but we need to do it in a way that's smart and that makes a lot of sense. So what makes marketing effective? There are actually 7 key elements of a really powerful marketing campaign or message. And when we have those elements, then we have the recipe for success. And if we don't have those elements, then ultimately we're going to fall flatter than we could. Even if we happen to have a successful campaign, it's not going to be what it could have been if we could have included all these elements. And this, by the way, is regardless of the medium or platform that we're doing it. So it doesn't matter whether this is TV or internet or social media or billboards or magazine ads or whatever it is, radio. It doesn't really matter where the ad is being played or where the marketing is being distributed. What matters is that these elements are all included in one way or another. When we have these 7 elements, we win, and when we don't, we lose, or at least have the potential to lose. So let's talk about what they are and exactly how we can use these in our own business. The first is clarity. One of the biggest mistakes I see in marketing all the time when I review people's marketing is that their messages are not clear. You know, they're so close to their own business, they're so aware of what they're doing that they try to jam everything they can into one message, and it becomes totally muddled and hard to understand. A marketing message, it has to be clear and it has to be straightforward. It should directly address whatever the product or service offers and how it benefits the customer, right? So we want to make sure that it's, the idea is to edit this down. For clarity's sake, we want to edit it down to as few words as possible, and we want to eliminate anything from the message that is not important or vital to getting that point across. So if we can remove words or phrases that and the meaning of our message stays the same or gets clearer, then that's a good sign. If when we remove things, it changes it or loses its effectiveness, then obviously those things are vital to the message. But we want to get it as clear and simple as we can, Because instead of vague statements, which and a lot of times in marketing, this is what you see. We have the best customer service. We have top-notch this, or all superlatives and random phrases that don't really mean anything because everybody uses them all the time. A message should really specify how a product solves a problem or improves the customer's life in a very specific way to the level that it's possible. So, something like our orthotic inserts relieve pain, restore your well-being, right? Rather than some general description of whatever the product features are, or, whatever sort of platitudes we can throw in front of it. We have the best, we have the, whatever it is. All of those words are so overused that everybody recognizes they don't mean anything anymore. So we want to have that message stripped down and as clear and simple as possible. So we want to eliminate extra words and eliminate anything lofty. It should be something that if we were able to say it to somebody, they would instantly understand what we meant. If we have to define things or explain things, the message isn't clear enough. We want to use common sense words that everybody knows. We don't want to use technical jargon or anything that's specific to our industry. We want to instead make it so whoever our customer base is would instantly understand what we're talking about without needing us to say, well, what I mean is, or let me just explain, because we've already lost them, right? In most cases, we're not doing marketing one-to-one. So we don't get an opportunity to have a second bite at the apple or say, wait a minute, that's not what I meant, or let me clarify. If our message isn't clear, they just tune out or they ignore it. And so that's super important. The second element is that it has to be a customer-centric approach, right? So what happens oftentimes in business is we start to create our products, we create our services, we get really excited about them because we know the impact they can have for people. So what we focus on is our product. What we focus on is its features. It's, what it does or what it includes or how it was created or the care that went into it, or all of those things may have a place in the marketing spectrum, but not in the core marketing message. Those might be things that we add as bullet points on something if we're making a flyer or something like that, just to evoke to people or let them understand exactly what the quality is or what the workmanship is or the amount of time and energy and effort that went into it. But when it comes down to the actual marketing statements themselves and the marketing campaigns, it has to be all about the customer. How do they benefit? Why should they care? It reminds me when I was working in tech years ago, we actually, my company had gotten our New York office. We had opened an office in the Chrysler building, and we had hired a new sales director. And so they asked me to go on some sales calls with him. I wasn't in sales, but I was instrumental in the way that the office operated. So I really understood from a holistic approach everything that was going on. And so they thought I'd be a great support resource because if I went out with him, then I could help explain stuff to clients that maybe he didn't know yet. And I'll never forget because we got into a conference room with a client, and actually this happened to me twice. And we start talking for a couple of minutes and he's making small talk, which is really nice. And then he proceeds to go on and on about how we have an office in the Chrysler building and how nice it is and all this other stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, our clients don't care about this. Not only does it not benefit them, if anything, they're going to think, well, no wonder your fees are so high because you have to pay for your office. The customer does not care about that. That's something that you might use to recruit employees. That's something that you might use to recruit staff or put on a postcard or something to make your things look really professional. But when you're dealing with a customer, it's all about them. What are our consultants going to do for them? How's it going to improve their business? And so a customer-centric approach is absolutely essential. So we need effective messages that sort of take the customer's viewpoint into account. When we're writing our marketing, when we're thinking about making our marketing campaigns, we want to always be putting ourselves in the shoes of one of our customers. So it's amazing if we can set up customer avatars where we know who the people are, what motivates them, what scares them, what are their dreams, what are their goals, what are their fears, what's their current situation, what's their income, their education level, all these other things. And if it's business to business, same thing. As an employee of the business they're working for, what motivates them? What are they afraid of? And regardless of who our customer is, if we can define that really clearly, we can get in their shoes and ask ourselves, what would I want from a product or service that we're trying to sell? Because if I can articulate that and I can figure that out from the customer's point of view, when they see the marketing message, what occurs to them is, this person, this company understands me. They've got my needs listed first. Now, they don't think that in a conscious way, but that is the thought that runs through their head when they're experiencing whatever our marketing message is. They feel understood, and so they're open to listening to what we recommend in terms of whatever solution or products or offerings that we have. And so in that sense, it's particularly important. So if, we had a message that, highlights the ease of, use or time-saving benefits is more appealing than whatever technical specs make that happen. It might be a technical specification that allows the sound to be more rich or deep or whatever, or the picture on the TV to look better. But people don't care about that. They care that you're going to see lifelike images almost leaping off the screen. Not, well, it uses QHD technology with a 2700 megahertz processor. Nobody even knows what that is or cares. The very small percentage of tech people might be interested in that, and so we can include a tech sheet. But the marketing message can't focus on that. It has to focus on the benefits to the customer. And when we do that, we've hooked them and we've gotten their interest. And now it's up to us to finish off the rest of what we need to do. The third thing, and it sort of connects with the clarity situation, is simplicity, right? But in simplicity in this particular case, we want to use very familiar and straightforward language. We want it to be something that's easily accessible to everybody. If we start throwing around industry terms, then what happens is we lose anybody who isn't technical already. And so that's especially if our end product is not an engineer or somebody in a technical field, that's a problem. If we're in the rare instance where we're actually selling to somebody who is incredibly technical, okay, then that changes the equation. Then you can use some jargon, because if it's universally understood by our market, it's okay to use it. If it's not, then it's not. In general, they say with any sort of copywriting or marketing, we want to basically write to about a 6th grade education. So that way we have an opportunity to use vocabulary and terms that the vast majority of the market are going to understand. Also, when we use simple terms that are everyday and common, it makes it far easier to be able to get across a message that carries a vivid picture with it. It's difficult to do that when we use words where we would need to define them inside the marketing message in order for people to figure out what it is. I remember listening to Russell Brunson talking about doing some marketing work for one of the companies that does keto stuff. And he said, I would go to a conference with all these keto people, and they'd run up to me and they're like, oh my God, you got to understand, like it does this and this and this. And they start rattling off all this technical and medical and health and scientific jargon about how it works in your body. And, they asked him if he could revise their marketing because it wasn't getting the traction. And so he did. And what he did was, instead of like trying to talk about all these things that these technical terms and scientific stuff that it did to your body, what he did is he said, it's like having 1 million motivational speakers inside your body. Wow, right? I mean, instantly you get it. It makes you feel powerful. It makes you feel energized. You don't need to say more than that. It's simple, it's clear, and it paints the picture perfectly for what the product or service is trying to do. And that's the kind of level of clarity we want to get to, where we can simplify, strip away all the fat, and get it down to something that's very, very simple. And so when we avoid that jargon, then we make sure that message can be understood by everybody. We don't alienate people, because if they don't understand what we're talking about, they aren't going to spend the time to figure it out. They're just going to keep moving. So a powerful marketing message needs to be concise and to the point. A lot of times people want it to be long because they want it to sound sophisticated. We need to go for the opposite. We have to eliminate unnecessary complexity and only include what's absolutely essential to the message. So when the person gets it, they get it. They see it, they understand it, right? And there's real power in that. I remember listening to a copywriter talking about working for a hair loss company or a wig company or hair replacement or something. And he had said, when he finally distilled down his headline, it was suffering from hair loss, ? Boom. You can't get more clear than that. You've just identified the primary issue for every target customer you've got. If they have hair loss and they aren't suffering from it, they don't care. They don't want your product anyway. If they're suffering, they're feeling bad, they want a solution. And from what? Hair loss. Real simple. 3-4 word sentence, and that encapsulates the entire thing in terms of the hook. So we can be very, very short if we do it well and we edit things down. So avoid clever and go for accurate and powerful instead. Clarity. The fourth thing is originality. A standout marketing message should convey something that is unique about the brand or the product. This goes back to the whole platitudes thing. We have the best, we have the top, we have the, excellent, we have superior. All those words don't mean anything because everybody uses them for, who's going to define their product? Well, we have mediocre service. We have mediocre, no one's ever going to say that. So everybody has the best products and services. So we've got to put it in terms that are specific, that differentiate us from our competitors. So avoid the generic phrases that if you, and the way you can do this is think to yourself when you have a phrase in your marketing message, could this apply to any company or any product? We have the best XYZ. If it can, then it's useless because anybody could use it. When we have something that's unique, it should be something that can only apply to us. If we have a message powerful like that, then that's something that really, really will work because that's something that is people can connect to and it differentiates us and no one else can claim the same thing. So that's the sort of power that we're going for with that originality. It has to be something that's unique about our product or service and makes it stand out from competitors and is not just based on claiming it's better than everybody else, but we're demonstrating it in what we're actually saying. The fifth element is emotional appeal. This is another one that's really, really important. So people don't really buy based on analytics. Some do, but for the most part, we are moved to action through emotions. When we feel an emotion about something, it causes us to take a certain action. And so we can be emotionally motivated to buy something, to avoid something, to get something, whatever. And so if we can get that emotional appeal in there while still keeping all the other standards, clarity, simplicity, right, originality, all that other stuff, but we can also tap into people's emotions. Like if we go back to the example, suffering from hair loss, boom, that instantly puts salt in that wound of my suffering about my hair loss because you're calling it out, you're addressing it. Right? Not do you have hair loss? So what? Right? There's no emotion in that. Are you suffering from hair loss? Yeah, you got me. There's an emotional appeal there. So when we incorporate that emotional appeal and that emotional element, that enhances the effectiveness of a marketing message because it sticks with people. They'll forget the words. They'll remember the emotion. And so when we do something that evokes that sort of emotion in somebody, whether it's a smile and a positive feeling, whether it's fear, whether it's embarrassment, whatever that emotion is, and the stronger that we can create that emotion in people, the stronger connection we get with the audience. And what that does is inspire them to take action. And so that is ultimately what we want. It also makes us very memorable. So we can use humor, we can use relatable scenarios, anything to make it more memorable, engaging, and emotional. The sixth thing that we need is a compelling call to action, right? We need to actually tell people what we want them to do, not just, hey, this is a great product or service. Maybe someday you'll go check it out and buy it. A powerful marketing message ends or includes sometimes multiple times throughout it a clear call to action, guiding the audience on exactly what next steps to take. Click this button to buy now. Scroll down to buy, right? Click through, fill out the form, and click submit. Whatever it is, specific instructions on how to do it. And so it can be a simple one, or it can be a little bit more detailed depending on what it is. But the fact is, we want to tell them what action to take. So when we've got them on the hook and they feel engaged and emotionally ready and they're excited about our product and they understand its value, we get them to take the action to go ahead and purchase it. And the seventh thing is consistency across all the platforms. So once we've got all this stuff dialed in, the other thing we want to make sure we do, even if different platforms have different modalities in terms of the actual ad, like maybe TikTok is a short video, a billboard is a big image, whatever, we still want the messaging and the marketing messaging to be the same and consistent. Same fonts, same branding, same colors, right? Same look and feel. We want that consistency across all the marketing channels to reinforce our brand identity and help really build that trust. When we have a unified message, that's going to ensure that all the communications align with our brand's core values and promises, and that's going to make it a lot easier for customers to recognize us, to remember us, and want to do business with us because they feel like there's some congruence there. When we focus on all of these elements, we can craft marketing messages that not only capture attention, so they cut through the noise, but they also drive engagement and conversions, which ultimately is what we need. So the takeaway here is that marketing is an essential function to be successful in business, no doubt about it. We have to have a way to be able to reach our target customers and be able to make them aware that our products and services can actually help them in whatever significant way that matters to them. Now, while there's not going to be a one-size-fits-all marketing campaign that's going to work for everybody in every case, by including these 7 key elements in every marketing effort that we undertake, we can be sure that we're absolutely getting the best results that we can.